Recently, a bunch of comedians got into a whole lot of hot water for performing at the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia, with many accusing them of sanitizing the regime's extensive and well-documented history of human rights violations because the paycheck was just big enough. And perhaps the comic to bear the greatest brunt of the internet's ire was Bill Burr, as while all these other funny men were perfectly able to hide behind the facade that they're just apolitical idiots who don't understand what's going on, Bill seemed more switched on than that. He'd recently been seen as someone to stand up to that particular sphere of comedian that, seemingly unknowingly to them, had helped usher in this age of increased authoritarianism we are currently experiencing. Come on, Bill, these guys are idiots. You were just talking about how billionaires were an ethical disgrace, and now you're accepting God knows how much in blood money to go and censor yourself? We thought you were better than this. Now, to be clear, I don't think these comedians should have done it. Cue a round of applause for my brave stance. I've certainly not been offered the amount of money they would have been, but I have turned down, no joke, tens of thousands of pounds over the years from less than savoury sponsors. Had I less ethical scruples, I could be a whole lot more financially comfortable than I am now. Psst, patreon.com/writingongames, thanks so much for supporting my work. In short, money makes things messy, and while I don't have any skin in this particular game, the whole Riyadh debacle speaks to a truth at the core of who we are as a species. When it comes to those who, on some level or other, speak for us, especially when their work makes comment on those experiences that shape us all, we'd like those people to practice what they preach. And judged by that metric, these days, the infamously searing cultural satire Rockstar has propagated with Grand Theft Auto over the many years of its cultural dominance is the video game equivalent of Jonathan Swift reading over a modest proposal while wiping from his lips the crumbs of a well-nourished Irish child. With its ascendancy to industry colossus, with the corporate drive and woefully exploitative labour practices that entails, Rockstar has become the very thing its art has been so scornful of. See, at the time of writing, Rockstar has recently delayed one of the most hotly anticipated pieces of entertainment media in decades. GTA 5 already broke records over how successful it was. It still is over a decade later. For a while there, it felt like all the big C-suite industry types were looking to its sequel to grant much-needed relief to a flagging industry, begging Rockstar to charge $100 for it so they could do the same with their titles, while those operating on a smaller scale that had already moved their titles out of the blast zone of GTA 6's release had to perform that calculus all over again. It seems like you can't check the comments on anything without someone quipping, "We got such and such before GTA 6. To say this upcoming game is titanic is not far from the truth. Like Atlas, the weight of the industry is borne on Rockstar's shoulders. And it's an odd predicament for the series and its developer to be in, given, well, everything the series has apparently stood for over the decades. Indeed, GTA has long since built its identity on the notion that capital is a brutal miasma, at once enticing as an escape route to those unfortunate enough to be under the boot, while utterly, spiritually disemboweling those wearing some version of it. GTA 5's Michael has already succeeded where previous series protagonists arguably failed, in achieving the American dream, with all the wealth and means it affords him, and he still finds himself aimlessly wandering LA as Martian landscape, a brightly lit but substantively barren purgatory of similarly lost husks. And for the low price of whatever they're charging for shark cards nowadays, you too can live that dream for yourself. In that game's biggest mode, the one that has continued its success to this day, GTA Online, the former excoriation of this vapid lifestyle through multiple add-ons and necessitated by a system that requires endless money to be made through virtual currencies, has seen Rockstar quite literally selling that very same lifestyle back to those who previously ate up the humour. I'm reminded of that mission in 5, where Michael infiltrates the offices of a tech company sitting at the intersection of Apple and Facebook, at the behest of Kelso Analog, in the game's pastiche of Heat, Lester. It's a mission that spits on all the trappings of the Silicon Valley dystopia the game, and indeed our own world, is enveloped by. Invasion of privacy, endless bureaucracy, outsourcing of jobs, upper management changing tact on a whim and forcing the underlings to work long hours to make it happen, corporate brutality in casual dress code. And all satirized with the subtlety of a sledgehammer to the face. Some of it isn't even jokes, it's just stating facts and saying, what the hell are we doing here? There's even a joke about unions in there. The idea of feeling totally alien in a tech company so core to the consumerist rot infecting every element of this society. That rot that the game speaks of with such vitriol. It's just wild to think about, given that the company that made this game has long since been embroiled in exactly these kinds of exploitative labour practices. Everything from crunching their employees to the bone, right through to most recently, when they fired over 30 workers in an egregious act of alleged union busting, trying to frame the mere act of speaking about the issues that would lead any reasonable person to want to organise their workplace as gross misconduct. The kinds of labour practices the game responded to in a far more direct manner. Master of modern satire Chris Morris once said that he doesn't see the point of comedy unless there's something underpinning it. In his words, are you doing some kind of exotic display for the court to be patted on the head by the court? Or are you trying to change something? This is a man who spent years researching his subjects, infiltrating the ranks of those he was satirizing, and genuinely shocking long-time investigative journalists with his findings on some of the most powerful institutions in the world. To quote him again, while promoting his film The Day Shall Come, a film taking aim at the very real notion of the FBI directly funding domestic terrorism cells in the US, it's a comedy because what happens in real life is a farce, and the conclusion is bound to be serious. Comedy is broadly seen, often even by cultural satirists, as little more than having a laugh at something daft. But perhaps because of its ability to disarm us, and especially when it becomes such a culturally dominant force as it has done, comedy can shape consensus. It has real power, and I believe, however naively, the potential to change things. In Rockstar's case though, with how much money has been generated and the profit drives such money further incentivizes, it has the power, but what could it possibly want with change? Every big tech company is Life Invader now, and Rockstar is every big tech company. I see the trailers for GTA 6 with all the individuals being pointed out as if to say, look at this weirdo. But coming from a corporation where targeting and lampooning the institutions that created such social decay would now necessarily include their own upper management. And make no mistake, my gripe with this whole piece is exclusively with that upper management and not those working tirelessly to create work they are proud of. Upper management that is increasingly proving that any dissent will be aggressively weeded out, and thus the court is served a conveyor belt of jesters to point and laugh at. If they keep laughing, if they keep paying, Rockstar seems to say, they won't notice where the real problem lies. And I guess I've had enough. My own thoughts on GTA as a series had already left me pretty unexcited at the prospect of a new game in the series. Mechanically, it's the epitome of jack of all trades, master of none. And I know every one of the few games media organisations left are gearing up to cover it like they can see the faint glimmers of an oasis in the desert. I know I'm in a privileged position in that regard, where I can largely do whatever the hell I want, but I'm starting to think that no matter how good the game is, I just cannot be arsed covering any further potentially the biggest game ever made. Look, we live in a world run by actual legitimate criminals. Genocide is being normalized. Every company is trying, is incentivized to increase prices while providing you as little as possible. Actual apocalypse fantasists are telling us we need AI to make all of our decisions for us, to create for us using the work they stole from us. Despite all the lies they've sold people about how billionaires are their friends and unions and immigrants are their enemies, the far right is still ascendant and they're robbing you absolutely blind. Our video games, our art, shouldn't be like this. I feel more and more every day that all of this, that culture that Rockstar is a part of and is directly encouraging, is an affront to decency and the way things should be. I don't know, man. All we've got against these fuckers is each other. Satire is supposed to help us envision a better world. GTA, as made by Rockstar, says this is as good as it gets. And I guess I just can't abide by that any longer. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, you can help me out by liking, subscribing, becoming a channel member via the join button, and even hyping now, which apparently costs you nothing if that option is available to you. It all helps more than you know. A massive thanks as well to my patrons, who you can see on screen and are all getting access to exclusive, fully produced videos that aren't available here. Your continued support on patreon.com/writingongames is what allows me to keep going with the work I do on this channel, and I seriously cannot express how grateful I am for that. You are all the best. Special thanks go to Ewan Patterson, David Butkus, Brendan Hess, Mason Miller, Alex O'Sullivan, Michael Tritt, Rickety Cricket, Cameron Siniceros, Charles J. Liu, Allride, Thomas Ife, Luke Shaw, Alistair Dunn, Vitautis Catharsis, Dolly Bowman, Young Condor, Danis Sikauskis, Christopher Farity, Leah Chinello, Bryce Snyder, David Björk, Timothy Jones, Matthew Grover, Shardfire, Lynn Browning, Vila Nurmi, Dallas Keane, Charlie Kimball, and Charlie Yang. And with that, this has been another episode of Writing on Games. Thank you all so much for watching, stay safe, and I will see you all next time.